made it home. Thanks for joining us for another Friday. It's Friday of April, so it is our Fri-DIY day. And as you might know, if you've been watching our other episodes, we have decided not only to celebrate Earth Day, which was a couple days ago, but rather Earth Month, just focusing on things that we can do to kind of help out the planet all month long. So we have a couple different things that we're going to talk about today, some ways that we can help wildlife, a couple of crafts that you can make with things that you might just throw away or recycle, and then some activities that you can do in your free time to kind of connect with nature. So we're going to start out first by talking all about birds and birds nesting. So if you've never seen what a bird's nest looks like, this is what it's supposed to look like, made of all natural substances, leaves, fibers, those kinds of things. However, sometimes as humans, we leave our trash around, we leave, harmful objects around, and their nests will start to look something like this. So you can see that does not look natural. It does not have those nice fibers. This little nest is entirely made out of trash. Things like dental floss, hair, string. I know that's super appealing to think about, but birds will make nests with what they can find in their environment. So if you're leaving this stuff in their environment, that can be really dangerous for them because they're going to go ahead and nest in this. And unfortunately, they can become really tangled up in these items. We get quite a few birds in at Project Wildlife every year who are entangled in these kinds of items. So in order to prevent that from happening, first things first, of course, don't leave those things laying around. Make sure you're monitoring how you're throwing your trash away so that it's not ending up in the environment that the birds and the other wildlife are living in. But also, we can kind of help them out with their nest making. So something that we see a lot of during the springtime is tree trimming. And let me tell you, it is a bad idea because there are baby birds that are hanging out in those trees that are living in those nests. And when you cut them down, you are displacing them. You are getting rid of their home. And sometimes it can be really hard to tell that there's even a nest in there. I don't know if you want to guess what kind of bird this comes from. This is actually from a little hummingbird. So this hummingbird nest, if you saw it, there we go, we'll get a better shot. If you saw it in a tree, you probably wouldn't even recognize it as a nest. You might not see it at all because it's so tiny. So be really aware of cutting your trees during the springtime to make sure you're not knocking out any baby birds. That being said, there's a couple ways that you can kind of help out birds to make their nests out of some natural items. So you can make what's called a bird's nesting box. You'll need a little container. This is just from strawberries or a plastic container. You can use something that's recyclable, but cardboard probably isn't the best option. Just because if it's outdoors, it's going to be exposed to the elements. Not that it rains much here, but it could. So if you're making a bird box, you have a couple different options. One is to just kind of gather up these supplies and leave them in an area where the birds can access them and make them themselves. Or you can kind of help them out and set up the box so that it looks really cute. But we can talk about what you should be putting in your bird box or what you should be offering these birds to make their nests out of. Things like dried leaves are going to be really great. Twigs and sticks, just like that little nest there. That's primarily what that's made of. Grass is going to be okay. Even things like feathers, moss, little pebbles are totally fine. Mud, believe it or not, spider web silk. I don't know where you're getting that from, but it's totally fine to put that in there. As long as you're avoiding things like yarn, string, hair, and dental floss. Those are the items that are going to get really tangled around those little bird legs and bird bodies, and we want to make sure that we're avoiding those. So make sure you're picking up your trash. And also make sure that you are offering those birds something a little bit better to make their nests out of. The next thing that we're going to talk about are some crafts that you can make with stuff that you probably would have just thrown away. If you're like me, you might have aluminum cans hanging out, glass jars from like pasta sauce that you got at Trader Joe's last week. This is just a San Pellegrino bottle that I drank yesterday. So we can talk a little bit about some things that you can do to repurpose those items so that they don't end up in your trash or in your recycle bin. One of my favorite things to do with these jars is to make little canisters to put things like pencils in, makeup brushes, anything that you can really hold in there. So what you do is you just take a little bit of yarn, might be more than a little bit, depends on how big the can is. And I would recommend using this with hot glue. Hot glue is going to dry really quick, so this will stick. You can certainly try doing it with regular glue, but it might slide up and down. And we've had some not so great experiences trying it with regular glue. So all you do is you just put a little dollop of hot glue in a line like that, and I won't make you watch me do all of these. but then you're just gonna pull it tight and make sure that it lines up with the line above it. And you can alternate yarn colors. This one, I just glued some paper with a little dog face on it and some googly eyes so that it has a nice theme. But you could really do whatever you want with that. You could also repeat that same process on a glass bottle. If you wanted to make something to put flowers in your home, you could absolutely wrap the yarn around it. Something that I like to do with glass in particular is to kind of paper mache the sides with tissue paper because it gets really pretty. It's extra pretty if you have something like a pasta sauce jar or a mason jar. Then you can put a little candle in it, and it looks really great. So I'm going to try to avoid getting my hands super gluey, but is it going to happen? Probably. All you do is you take these little sheets of tissue paper, and you're just going to start gluing them down. I think it looks better when you have no rhyme or reason and no pattern, and you just start to kind of layer them on top of one another. It's probably best to use some sort of washable clear drying glue. I lost my tissue paper in my glue so that it lays flat. My glue is a little puffy, but it'll all work out in the end. I knew I was going to get glue on my hands. I just felt it. So just start layering that over. And I'm not going to make you watch me do the whole bottle, but it'll be really pretty. And if I finish this, I will send a picture to Jordan so that she can share it. But it looks really cool to put flowers in. It's fun if you put a candle in it. And it's a better way for using these glass bottles than tossing them out like you normally would. The last couple things that we have are some other ideas for you on how you can help the earth with some DIY items. The first is something that I think we've mentioned before, and those are our DIY window clings. And this, for lack of a better word, recipe for a DIY window cling is different than the ones that I've done in the past. In the past, I've mixed them all together in a bowl, added different food coloring colors to each bowl. This is much more simple. So what you're going to do is you're actually just going to take an entire bottle of glue, Elmer's glue, whatever washable school glue you have. You're then just going to add in some food coloring and mix that up. And you can actually just squirt it directly onto something that's going to be non-stick. So one of those clear sheet protectors is perfect. And you can keep it in the bottle and use the bottle to draw out any designs, shapes, patterns that you want. And once those are dry and have kind of a tacky feeling to them, you can go ahead and hang them directly on your window. And these are super valuable because, of course, our birds cannot perceive glass. So a lot of times they're just going to dive bomb straight into that. And it can be really harmful and really dangerous. So what you can do is you can put these little window clings on there to kind of say, hey, there's glass here, so that they don't fly into it.
Miss Lauren, yeah. I saw a tutorial where they just used puffy glue.
Ooh.
And that was also, and you just got different colored puffy glues
just
and made
puffy glue. You don't even have to mix anything. It's so easy. And then the last recommendation for the best way to finish off Earth Month, it's the last day of April. You might as well take advantage. It is beautiful outside right now. Just get out there and go for a walk. If you have kids, if you are a kid, even if you don't have kids and you're like me and are just a kid at heart, something really fun that you can do outdoors is a nature scavenger hunt or even nature bingo. So walk around looking for these items like ladybugs, water, a flower, and whoever can get the most in the shortest amount of time is a winner. These are all really awesome. I found these for free online. They're super accessible. They're a great way to just kind of get some more entertainment and enrichment out of your walks or your hikes or whatever outdoor time you're having.
Lauren, can we post those in the comments?
Yes, absolutely.
Excellent.
We can post those in the comments. We can post everything in the comments.
And our favorite David said, great idea. Thank you, David.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the last of Earth Month. I think the best way to finish off Earth Month is to show you a tiny dog in a stroller.
Nothing really to do with Earth Month, but very, very cute.
Nothing at all to do with wildlife, but very cute, and he's the perfect audience.
And a way to protect wildlife by
protecting wildlife by keeping him in his stroller so that he can't disturb the birds.
While we go on our nature walk. I think that's a great way. Go out and enjoy nature in this beautiful weekend.
Yes, well, happy Earth Month, everyone. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. Join us next week where we'll be talking a little bit more about wildlife.
Yes, we're going to have magnificent migrating birds with Carly. Yes, and learning about migration and some really cool stuff.
All right, we'll see you next week when Carly's back to talk about some birds. Have a good weekend.